Are you concerned that this could happen to your RV? We're going to show you a product that's going to eliminate that from happening due to a propane leak. So stick around. When we talk about upgrades, we typically talk about things that are going to be better for comfort, for convenience, and maybe things like helping us boondock longer, solar panels, things like that. Well, let's talk about safety, because that's really, really important, and we need to make sure that we're considering everything when we look at that. And something that's often overlooked is propane. At the end of the day, most every rig, except some of the really high-end ones, have some level of propane on there. Now, our Lance happens to have 3 20-pound tanks, which is great because it gives us a lot of capacity for our refrigerator, for our shower, obviously hot water, those kinds of things, cooking outdoors. And so it's very convenient, but we need to make sure that we are considering the safety aspect of that as well. And for a long time, we traveled without any really safety factors other than what's already built into some of these propane tanks, and then also some of the hoses. So looking at any typical propane tank, they're going to have the ability to shut off any large leak that comes out of here. So this is basically a full 20-pound tank, and all I have is a meter on here. And if I turn this on, the safety valve that's actually in the 20-pound tank is going to restrict airflow. So it is fully charged right now. I can see it. It's it's all in the green. So I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to see what comes out of there. Nothing. So I turned that on. So the safety valve that's actually built into the tank itself restricts any gas coming out in the case of it being left open like that. So that's one aspect, and again, that's built in. Now, also some of the hoses, and really many of the hoses have safety that's built into here as well. And what you're going to find with this is that it'll still let propane through, although it'll restrict it quite a bit, but it'll still let propane through. So I'm going to hook this up on here like this. I'm going to do this very, very quickly. And you kind of heard that charge, and so that basically has relieved that pressure. Now I'm going to turn this on just for a brief moment. Hopefully you can hear that. So you can probably hear the propane coming out of there. So if our tanks are not hooked up, then we really don't have anything to worry about, but the tanks are always hooked up, so we have to be careful of that. Now, we've not had any issues traveling, but you can have issues. Now, our Lance actually has, as I mentioned, 3 20-pound tanks, but we have 2 quick disconnects on here. One on the front for a quick disconnect grill, as well as one on the back for a rear entertainment area, if you will. And so it's important that we basically make sure that if we ever have any kind of a leak in those lines, that we're protected from that. So this is not going to do it, right? Because this is basically going to be connected all the time, and the safety valve in here is not going to protect us 100% either. So our friends at Gas Stop sent us these 2 valves to test, and basically these are they will stop the gas in case of a catastrophic failure. Again, we saw that the gas will not escape as long as nothing's connected, but everything is connected all the time. So we're going to run that test one more time. These will basically detect any kind of a large leak when you're hooked up, and it'll stop it right at the source. And so that's really important, because we know we go through some pretty rough roads. We get rocks kicked up at us. Maybe we take a corner a little bit too tight, getting into a spot, and we find that we may nick one of our propane lines. Now, troubleshooting that is not easy, and of course it could be pretty dangerous. You'll have to shut your tanks off, make sure that you can isolate that with some soapy water, or that we've got some tools that can do that. But this is going to give us peace of mind to make sure that any rip or tear in the gas line or anything catastrophic is going to be stopped at the source. So let me put this on instead of just a basic meter, and this has got a meter built in, and then we're going to test it one more time. Okay, I've put the gas stop on the propane tank, and first thing you're gonna notice is that they look kind of similar. You've got an LP meter on top. Now this one happens to be a little bit different in terms of the colors. On the gas stop, red means you're pretty much out of LP, green means you're good, yellow means you got good high pressure. That's a little bit different than on these, but it's got the writing on there, so you can figure that out. So in order to charge this, we actually have to connect a device that uses propane on it, and we're going to do that here in a second. And then what we're going to do is get this fully enabled and charged, and then we're going to basically show how it connects into that device, and then we're going to simulate a leak and show you exactly what happens there. All right, in order to demonstrate this, we have to get a device that actually uses propane. So we have a little propane fire, I wouldn't even call it a fire pit. Actually, our friends affectionately call it the candle because it puts out just a little bit more than a candle. But, you know, not really for heat, but for ambiance. So we have to do, so our valve is closed on here. We're going to connect this as we normally would. Now, when you first turn on the valve on the LP tank itself, with a normal gauge, you're going to find that it pressurizes right away. You're going to see that come up to the pressure that the tank has. The gas stop, because of the safety mechanism that's built in, is not going to do that. So we're going to open this up. In order to pressurize it and release that valve, you have to push down on this gauge, because it's spring-loaded, about 4 to 6 times, and then you'll see it come up to pressure. And there we go, we're at pressure right away. So you can kind of see this is connected, and what we'll do is we'll light this to show you that we actually do have gas coming out. Okay, you can see that this is giving us fire like it would, and it's not a lot of fire, but it's enough, as we talked about before. So the gas stop is doing what a normal, flow through gauge would do. It's basically letting gas come through as required by the device that's consuming the gas. So let's turn this off. We're going to still have high pressure in here. We're going to go ahead and put this back on, and then this should basically, we should show that this is not going to allow that gas to go any further. So that is now disconnected. And if we connect this, now remember before the gauge was open, or the valve was open, and then we put this little pigtail on, we actually did hear the gas go through. And so now you can't hear any gas go through. So when we disconnected that basically enabled the stop to do what it has to do. Now let's connect this back on and then repressurize. Tank is still open, and now it actually did come up to pressure pretty much right away. So just give it 1 or 2 more pops in there, and that basically did stop the gas from coming out of this pigtail, which simulated a leak. So definitely a safety mechanism that is inexpensive, and just think about the catastrophe that it can save if you did have a gas leak. So we want to thank the folks at Gas Stop for providing these to us. We're actually going to get and install them on the RV today. And we do have a discount code if you're interested in purchasing those, and I'll put those in down here below, and we'll put them in the description of the overall video itself. So again, thanks a lot for watching, and I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment to put these on. Thank goodness in the 3 years we traveled with our Alliance fifth wheel, we did not have a propane issue, but all it takes is once. Thanks for watching.
So fast.